I'm Stanley. Welcome to my channel. If you've ever wondered if you can play piano with small hands, I'm here to tell you that you can. I've always had small hands. For reference, I'm 5'2", my hand span is around 7.5 inches in both hands, and the most I can reach on a piano is an octave. Maybe a ninth if I'm on the very edge of the keyboard, but it's definitely not comfortable. Despite having small hands, I've always managed to find some kind of solution when I came across large chords or beachy passages, so I know us small-handed people can play most music. I'm going to share the tips that I've learned that have given me the confidence to play any music regardless of hand size. I want to quickly mention that if you're an absolute beginner at the piano, you're not going to be used to stretching your hand right away, and it's probably going to feel uncomfortable. But like with everything else, the more that you practice something, the easier it becomes. I don't know if you've seen this trend around YouTube where people learn how to do the splits in 30 days. This isn't too different from that in the sense that if you've never done the splits before, it's going to feel uncomfortable and seem impossible. But like these people have shown, if you work on it daily and stretch, you will get there eventually. It's the same thing at the piano. The more that you play octaves and large chords, the more comfortable it's going to feel. You can even do some stretches away from the piano that will help you get used to the sensation. I've actually shown this stretch before, but I'll demonstrate it again here because it's kind of perfect for this. Place your hand between two fingers and spread it open to stretch them apart. Hold this for 10 seconds, then move to the next two fingers and repeat. The key here is keeping the rest of your hand nice and relaxed while these two fingers are being stretched. Notice that my other fingers are completely loose, like they're just hanging there. We're not only practicing stretching here, we're also practicing relaxing at the same time. I found that this exercise really helped me learn that you can actually relax into the stretch, and you can hold this position without being tense. Playing chords is probably one of the biggest challenges that we face having small hands, but there's definitely some tips and tricks to keep in mind depending on the music that you're playing. The first tip, I have no idea if it's very obvious for everyone, so I'll just briefly mention it just in case. If you're playing a chord with white and black keys in it like this one here, it's going to feel like such a large stretch if you position your hand close to the edge of the keyboard. If you simply move your hand deeper into the keys, you'll find that it's much easier to reach all the notes like this. Sometimes you'll come across chords that have notes that are right next to each other, like here in Chopin's Nocturne Opus 48 No. 1. You can see that if I try to play this chord with the 1 and 2 for the F and G, it's very reachy and uncomfortable. But using my thumb to play both the F and the G instantly makes this chord easy to play and comfortable in the hand. No tension here. While this is easier to do with two white keys, you can also do it with two black keys, like I chose to do here in Liszt's Liebestraum No. 3. If you ever come across a very large chord or something bigger than an octave like here, where it's just impossible to play, see if you can use your other hand to help you. You definitely have the option to just roll it like this, but you can see that in the right hand we have a rest, so you can actually use your other hand to help you play part of that chord. In this example, we have a C flat, F, D flat chord, which is way too big for me to reach. But even though there's no rest in the left hand, I can still use it to help me play this chord because the F that I have to play is close enough to the C flat that I can reach both with my left hand. It's going to create a different effect depending on if you choose to roll the chord or not, so I would choose whichever suits my interpretation best. In this piece, I actually opted to roll the chord that comes before it and play all the notes of this one. If your hands are even smaller than mine and you're struggling reaching an octave, I'm sure that you already know playing at the edge of the keys makes it a bit easier to reach. But my best advice for octaves is practicing relaxing your hands in this position. Relaxation is the key to playing octaves comfortably, and you can actually train your muscles to relax in this position. Try playing an octave and hold it until you feel all your muscles completely relax. Try to remember this sensation, then move on to the next. You're teaching your body that this is what it should feel like when you play an octave. If you have trouble relaxing your muscles, I have a more in-depth video about it that I'll link in the description below. When you have small hands, arpeggios can feel like huge jumps, but they don't have to if you use your wrist and elbow to help navigate you to the next note. If you keep your wrist very static and straight like this, the distance between the notes is going to feel big. But when you use your wrist to help pivot you to the next note, that gap becomes much smaller and easier to reach. It's like instantly adding inches to your hand span. This doesn't just apply to arpeggios, but any large distances you need to cover on the piano. Those are my tips for playing with small hands. I really hope that you found something useful there. Honestly, I never really considered having small hands to be a disadvantage. Sometimes we just have to find a different way to go about things, and often that leads to a unique interpretation that's personal to you. Isn't that the beauty of playing music? Two people can play exactly the same notes, but it's going to sound completely different when we filter it through our own lens and play in a way that's natural to our bodies. I think if you can reach an octave, you can absolutely play the majority of music. Will there be some music that's not suited for small hands? Sure, but that's okay because there's so much other music that we can play. I would love to hear any tips you might have for small hands, so please leave them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.